Junkie Nation, what's going on? Gorgeous George and Goes catching up with Steve Garcia, who we found out this weekend is fighting on the White House card. It's called Freedom Fight 250, and it takes place on June 14th. Steve, a lot of people in your circle, including yourself, must be pumped. I'm talking about kind of your coaches and anyone that gets to go to the White House with you. That's a fun trip, huh?
Yeah, man, never been. So excited to that'll be a first for me. Excited to do that, and then I get to do what I do best. I get to go out there and perform for the whole world, pretty much, represent my country. Yeah, man, what's not to like about it? So I'm excited.
Did both Jackson and Wink get to go? And if so, who else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on Greg right now. He may or may not go, but yeah, as of right now, that everybody that's typically in my corner is going to be there. Um, so I don't know. I really don't know any of the details that I'm allowed to. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that. I'm not allowed to talk about. I don't. I don't know the whole. This is just a whole different type of game, I guess. When it comes to being at the White House, you gotta have clearances, and you gotta have a clean record, and you gotta have people with you. I think that also have clean records. So like, there's a lot to play into it. So I don't know exactly like what uh what it's all gonna entail. I think I'm gonna find out obviously this week and weeks to come. So right now we're just gonna get ready. We got a name, and that's all I need.
Were you told that specifically, or do you think that's what the criteria is to have a clean record?
Well, when I had talked to Hunter, he wanted to make sure that like I didn't have anything on my record or anything like that, and I told him I was good, which I'm solid.
Look, bro,
All
I
I do is
know
train,
you're.
brother.
I'm happy for you, and I'm sure you have a sense of humor. I'm not trying to clown your teammate, but man, I mean,
Yeah.
if they were talking to John Jones, he's had a few things on his record, so I'm pretty sure everyone else can get in, right?
I would think. I would think. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
I mean, unless
John
it
does
was
his
like
own thing,
just
man.
out of a school or something, then okay, that's probably like on a whole other level. But if if you got a jacket and you've done a few things, and then and personally, I wanted him to fight on the card. I wanted another American on the card. So,
I
like I
think that
said,
would have been a great, especially him and Poetan. That would have been a fight I think
hmm
everybody wants to see. I would have liked to have all Americans on
hmm
there. I think we have one that's not, but either way, it's still a banger. So I mean, you can't hang it. It's for a title. So yeah, man, it is what it
how
is.
long have you
I
known?
think I really haven't known. Like I had a discussion with UFC like on a Monday, not guarantee nothing. They wanted to know what I was about. It was my first really like call with Hunter, and
hmm
I've talked to Dana before, but this was like my first encounter with Hunter, and he just wanted to know what I was about and make sure like I said, that my record was good, and um, I was an American and all the other stuff, and yeah, dude. So I kind of just had like a little interview with him, and it was great to talk to him, and then it was like crickets after that. I didn't really hear anything. And they did throw out Diego Lopez being the potential guy that
hmm
they're looking at. I wasn't for sure. And so I was like, all right, you know what I mean? So, but they're like, you can't say anything. I was like, okay, not a big deal. So I just sat on it, for the whole entire time. And if anybody knows me, I'm a man of faith. And I just kind of prayed on it. I was like, God, I was like, if it's meant for me, let's have it. If not, remove it for me. And I guess we'll find out Saturday. And so I was just hanging out, at my house, just chilling in the chair. And then I think it was what fight was going on. I think it was the one before Rosas. So I think it was Drew Dober and Michael
hmm
Johnson. And they announced it like, all right, we're gonna announce the White House card. I was like, all right, well, let's see if I'm on there. And sure enough, I was at the bottom, man. I
Oh,
was
that's how
stoked.
you found out.
That's how I found out. Yeah.
Oh,
I've never been stoked, for a fight like that. You know what I mean? Normally it's just like, all right, who am I fighting? And it's just like, all right, we got to get to work. But that one I got excited for. This is a special card to be on, and I have a great dance partner with me, and I think we're gonna go out there and entertain everybody.
did your wife know? You can tell us.
She had an idea. Yeah, she had an idea.
Because you
Just
had to
because
been since last Monday walking around like the cat that ate the canary, right? A big old smile that you're trying to hold in.
well, it was mainly because we're supposed to go to Italy in May, and
Oh,
so yeah, we had a big trip. It was like 10 days, and I was like, if this doesn't happen, I can't go. If this does happen, I can't go. And it was kind of a thing, but she's we're figuring it out right now. I'm not gonna go, but we're still working it out to where she's gonna be able to go. And Yeah, man, that part kind of sucks because my bucket list is to go see the Coliseum, and that's what we were gonna go do, along with some other great things to do. But the fight on the White House is a once in a lifetime type of situation, and I'll figure out how to get back there one day. But I can't turn this down, and I gotta show up.
I'm sure she understood. Did you pull the
Absolutely.
line when in Rome?
I did not. Probably would have been a good one
When
to
not
throw
in
out
Rome?
there, right? When not in Rome, you go to the White House, right?
How many texts did you get? How many texts, DMs, emails, phone calls did
Oh.
you get on Saturday when that appeared
Bro,
on the
I
screen, or that you were
literally
manifesting too?
within a span of like 10 minutes, I had to like probably turn off at least 3 or 4 calls because like I was already on one, then I got another, and then I got another. I definitely got over like I think 80, 90 messages just from, and I was getting messages from people I didn't even know that had my number,
Mm,
and I'm just like, okay, they're all coming out of the woodworks, right? But a lot of
mhm.
all good things, all support. Definitely had 10, 15 phone calls, and here in New Mexico, things like that don't happen. I know we've had a couple champions here, but that's because obviously our state's so rugged. But people don't like really get opportunities like that from where I'm from. So this is a huge thing here in New Mexico. I've got a lot of love, some hate, but that comes with the territory, and I understand that. But yeah, man, majority of it's been all love, and I'm excited that I get to go out there and represent our country, as an American, and go out there. And to me, this is the Olympics for me. So I got to go out there and get this gold.
We're fired up. At least I know Goes will say what he has to say. He's next. I'm fired up for you. And I'm telling you, of everyone that I'm talking to, this fight is right there, just underneath the title fights on what they're most pumped up for. You
Yeah.
versus Diego Lopez. So, I mean, I'm sure you've probably heard that, but I mean, we have also our listeners and followers, and that's all they've been saying as well. But anyway, this is Steve Garcia. He's fighting Diego Lopez on June 14th. They're the opening bout. At least that's the way it looks. Goes, what do you have for Steve Garcia?
Steve, so when all this is being pitched to you, did it almost not matter who the opponent was? Is it just pretty much about fighting on this card? Whoever you give me, I'm just happy to be there.
Yeah, I mean, when we're having a conversation about possibly being on the card, they didn't tell me the name, and I was like, "Well, who am I fighting?" And they told me it was Diego Lopez, and well, they didn't tell me it was Diego Lopez. They said that they're looking into Diego Lopez, and that was a potential. And I was like, "Okay, I'm in," and I was pumped. You know what I mean? So, I don't even know if I'm supposed to talk about it, but this is post announcement. So yeah, that's kind of how it went down. And like I said, that's all I knew. Really. You know what I mean? It's really all I knew, and um found out just like everybody else did on Saturday.
When you look at the landscape of mixed martial arts, the scenario that you've been given, opponent, I can't think of it even getting better than this. It's like George said, we all kind of said, look, this actually seems like the fight that could be fight of the night, in my opinion. It's the one of the ones that I'm looking forward to the most. Do you feel that way? Do you feel because of where you're fighting? Does anything have to change as far as preparation, or even when you're in the cage, do you feel like you have to change anything, or does it just feel like once the door closes, it's going to feel like any other type of fight?
No, man, I think that's gonna be key. For me, it's got to be. I got to keep it all the same. I can't make this bigger than what it is. Obviously, the magnitude of being on the White House card is already big, and I understand all that. But when it comes to actual fighting, that doesn't change. I got to keep it the same, and it's great to hear because obviously it's only been like 48 hours since the announcement in that type of sense. And I've had the same feedback from everybody else. They're just like, dude, this is the fight that we're so excited about, and they're not trying to knock anybody else. I'm not trying to knock anybody else, but I do think that this has fight of the night written all over it. um you just both, everybody knows like my style, at least the people that know who I am. They know my style. They know what I do. I only know how to fight one way. And obviously, you got Diego Lopes on the other hand, who, if it wasn't for Volkanovski, he'd be the champion. So I'm fighting the next best guy in the division, and we both come to bring it. We both come to fight, and they know that there should be fireworks, and maybe that's why we're probably the opener. I'm not sure if we are the opener, but it looks that way. And we're here to open up the White House card and hopefully get everybody excited for the remainder of the card.
I know this is all fresh for you, and it's fresh for us as well. But have you given a thought to maybe like sports psychologists and stuff, just getting in there early and walking that cage, looking at the grounds, because you're probably going to look up and see some pretty big names, and just to see the White House in the background, things that can kind of mess with you. Have you kind of thought all about that yet?
Nah, man, the Bible's my psychology. If you know, if you understand, you understand. Um, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. That's never changed. When I fought in big arenas too. I fought Cater at Nashville, and I almost came out to a Luke Holm country song, and he was right there. And I think he was going for Calvin Cater too, sitting right next to Hunter. So, they're around. I just can't get consumed by all that. And if you do, it's not gonna be good. You got the biggest thing is just being focused, man. That's the key to this fight. Just stay focused. Doesn't matter where you're at. If it's in the backyard, and that's how I've always been. I said this to Hunter. I was like, I show up at the Apex where there's nobody. I'm showing up at the White House when there's gonna be everybody, and I'm gonna give it 110% no matter where I'm at, whether it's in the backyard, whether it's in the Apex, whether it's in any other arena or it's at the White House. It doesn't matter. I know how to fight. I know how to get it, and that's especially what I'm good at. So that's not gonna change.
The scenario of where you're fighting, where you grew up, all that makes you, how much nationalistic pride do you like? Do you feel like you're representing the United States when you're fighting, or is it just Steve Garcia and Diego Lopez?
No, 100%. I do feel like a little bit of that extra with having this country behind me. Um, I feel like majority of these bouts, man. We might be the Americans might be B side. You know what I mean? Like obviously, I'm number 9. Diego's number 2. Taporia's like the undisputed. Gaethje's the interim. Sean O'Malley, yeah, he's up there, but I even that one, I was kind of like a little nervous because Zahabi's he's been doing really well. I feel like Sean's been a little bit questioning himself. Bo Nickel, Kyle Dawkins is pretty tough too. So there's a lot of us that are kind of like right in between, being B side, and I was like, I don't like that, and I got to go out there and I got to represent our country. But ultimately, I know when I'm in there, it's just me and Diego and whoever decides to ref it. One of us is gonna put our life on the line, and actually, both of us are gonna put our life on the line. One of us is gonna probably not see, the full end of it.
Just your opinion overall on the card and how you think yourself and other fighters. Um, we kind of feel like maybe this card might not have too much feeling out process. We feel like people are just going to want to get to it because of the magnitude of it and all. How do you feel? I know Diego Lopez can be a very aggressive fighter, and so can you. Do you feel like you guys are just going to go straight at it, or do you feel like you're going to have to maybe soak it in a little bit, figure things out first?
I think when you're in there, you feel it. I don't think there's ever been a situation where I don't really pick that. You know what I mean? Like in my personal opinion and in my experiences, I don't really like to fill out phases. I have 15 minutes or 30, whatever it is, 25 minutes to get you out of there. I want every single second to count. That's how I always fight. Um, is it always the best way to like the smartest way to go out there and fight against the best guys in the world? Probably not. You know what I mean? But what I will say is I will try to get to work quicker than probably most people. That's the best way to I guess answer your question.
Do you know exactly what the arena that they've yet to build will be? I mean, will it just be basically a big tent? So you'll still have the elements of, in the summer, I think Washington D.C. gets a little humid and warm or whatever. But have you heard anything about that?
Honestly, dude, I'm really not knowledgeable on any of that stuff. I just barely found out. Literally, I don't know if it was this interview, the last interview I just did before you guys. That we're coming out of the Oval Office. I was like,
Yeah.
I did not know that. Like, that's pretty sweet. Um, having an outdoor event kind of changes things a little bit.
Hmm.
Here, so I've had a couple of them here in Albuquerque where I had one fight in Carlsbad. It was hilarious because they didn't think about it. All the lights they had like the locker rooms or the warm up areas tented off, and when it got dark, they moved all the lights towards the cage. While we didn't have lights in the back. So we were all with our phones trying to wrap our hands with everybody's phones because there was no lights in the back. So then I needed like three or four people with their lights on their phones so that I could hit pads. So like fighting outside is just it's a little different, and I fought in the more ghetto side of it. I fought here in Albuquerque outside where they were throwing ice on the canvases because the tarp or the canvas was so hot that you're burning your feet. So yeah, fighting outside is a little different,
Holy cow!
Yeah, so
Really?
yeah, I've had a few of those situations. I fought in like almost like where the like a bull stable is here. You know what I mean? Where I was working out and they threw a tarp over water so I wouldn't get wet. You know what I mean? So uh I fought anywhere and everywhere here
An
in
amateur
Albuquerque
or what
coming
was
up.
that?
Yeah, I was amateur coming up, and some of them were pro. Like my pro debut was outdoor, and that's the one that they were throwing ice on the canvases because when the sun hit it, it was getting crazy hot. So they were just throwing tons and tons of ice, and yeah, that was fun.
Was it slippery?
No, honestly, it wasn't. Yeah, no, I was good as long as my feet aren't burning. I was good. So,
I've
uh,
heard of that before. Bellator had a card, I think in Yuma, Arizona, and I think they had the same problem where the canvas was really, really hot. I didn't hear about the ice going
mhm,
in, but here's what I was getting at. A few years ago, I live in Vegas, and I went to an LFA show in LA, and it was where the LA Galaxy plays, so it's like an outdoor venue.
yeah.
But what got them was condensation because it was so close to the ocean. There was some
Oh wow.
condensation later in the night, and the fighters were slipping. And granted, both can slip, and it's a fight, right? Okay, but you guys are professional athletes for one, and
Yeah.
two, you can also hurt. Like you might tear a ligament or something like that if you twist, the wrong way or slip the wrong way. And I remember them saying, "Wow, we didn't think of that, and that'll never happen again." But that's, I guess, why I'm throwing some of these things out there because I would hate for that day for you guys not to know. So maybe it's might be some questions to ask.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've never been to Washington D.C. I don't know how the temperature, the weather is out there. I hope they take that into account because ultimately I have zero say in any of that. I just got to go in there and do what I do. But dude, canvases make the biggest difference. You know what I mean? These are the
Hmm.
platforms that you're walking on. Um, I mean, think about it. You can just be on the street. You get taken down on a street on concrete. You can break your head open. You know what I
Oh yeah.
mean? You're on a slippery canvas. Yeah, you can honestly slip, tear a ligament. You have no footing. You can't really have like a solid base. So there's a lot of variables that come into place if you don't have a solid canvas that you're fighting on.
You're both with Iridium. You both have the same manager, Jason House. Because of that relationship, have you and Diego either not become friends or just acquaintances or even trained at all?
No.
No?
No,
Okay.
we've always been cordial. Like, when we see each other, we'll definitely shake our heads and I don't know if we've shaken hands, but we've always been cordial and respectful. You know what I mean? And I hope that's gonna be the case, still to this day. I still got tons of respect for that guy. Unfortunately we gotta lock horns because he's one of the best guys, I'm one of the best guys. And in order to find who the best guy is that night, we gotta fight. So
Hmm.
um, but honestly, he has a great relationship with my manager. I have a great relationship with my manager. And his whole goal, because I've talked to him about this, and his whole goal is just to make sure that we're set, and taken care of. And he says, I have my relationship with you, I have my relationship with him. And ultimately, he says that will never change. Both you guys are my boys, and he says you guys can handle out, whatever you guys got to figure out in the cage, and you guys, that's on you guys. So I like that. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Because I do think we both have a really solid relationship with our manager, and Jason's a solid dude, and he does it well.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, we're pumped for you. I still can't believe you actually found out when they flashed it on the screen. You know, I thought you would have gotten maybe like a 3-minute warning text, you know, from Hunter or somebody from his staff that just said, "Hey, let all these guys know." Because what if you weren't even watching? You know, like that would kind of suck to just you're somewhere else for whatever reason and not paying attention at that time. But
Not
you
gonna
were
lie, I
watching.
almost didn't want to watch it. I almost did not want to watch it because I'm like, there ain't no way. There ain't no way. I didn't want to get my hopes up, nothing like that. I just wanted to be like, yeah, I kind of figured. You know what I mean? I wanted to play it off, right? I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, I just knew I wasn't gonna get the part, you know, I'm not cool enough. But you know, I guess God said otherwise, and I'm here, and I couldn't be any more grateful for that. And I have my hard work to thank also, and everybody that's around me has been supportive, and I appreciate you guys just tagging along. You know what I mean? Just kind of documenting
Yeah.
the process. You know what I
Or-
mean? And we've had several conversations, and they've all been great. So thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to go on your platform and talk to your listeners and the people that follow you guys.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing a Garcia to the White House finally. We appreciate that.
Bro, they're letting us in. They let us in.
You got to get a picture of the
And
sign.
hey, and it's not to mop the floors, clean the bathrooms, bro. Like that's what's up, man.
There you
That's
go.
what's up. Like I'm good. You know, I have it. I will do it if they want me to, but that's not what they're calling me to do. So I'm happy about that.
That's awesome. No, yeah, we're really, really happy for you. And I don't know what they're gonna do with media. We're not really media that travels anyway, but who knows? Um, we're very happy that you are gonna get to see the White House and fight at the White House. I don't know if Ghost can get in. He's got warrants and shit, but
Oh,
in certain states, but maybe I
you
have a
gotta go
shot.
pay those
Maybe
tickets, bro.
What are you going to do?
All right, Steve, we'll let you go, man. Thanks again for the
So,
time and congrats on the fight booking.